Hello and welcome to ETAuto BigByte. I'm Nabeel A Khan and my guest today is somebody who is very prominent business leader in the Indian automobile industry and overall auto industry in the country also. Thank you so much, Mr. Kirloskar, for joining ETAuto. We have seen automobile industry has remained at the center of entire, buzz that is being created around business. How do you look at the performance of the automobile industry that has just come out of the massive impact of the COVID? How do you see it, and what is your projection for the next year?
I think the car industry has been lucky. As we've come out of COVID, we've seen a good rising demand. When the demand started increasing in September last year, I was wondering whether it's short-lived. Is it just a reaction to lack of buying during COVID? But it seems to be sustained. And I think we're seeing numbers from all manufacturers at pretty record levels. We are still not at the real peak, but I hope we'll reach the peak soon and we'll cross the peak.
Do you think the crisis chip shortage is behind us? Because I spoke to a couple of OEMs now, they are saying that the backlog is not because of the chip shortage, but because of the not readiness of the supplier. They're not getting adequate supply from the supplier side. Is it that?
See, in a supply chain, when you require 100% parts for a car, okay, whether it's a chip, whether it's a nut or a bolt or whatever. And I think once a supply chain gets disrupted, even by a chip, sometimes there are weak parts of a supply chain which can also get affected. So I'm sure we have struggled with the supply chain, we struggled with the chip problem, and I'm sure all the rest of it will start falling in line.
If you list,
it's not. It's a tough going ahead, but the good thing is the market is strong and people are buying.
Okay, demand is there, only supply side problem.
Supply side, but they're getting sorted out.
And if you talk about overall headwinds and tailwinds for the industry for this year, what would be that?
I think good tailwinds.
What are those?
They are basic. See, for us, when people start buying cars, that's the best thing that can happen.
Okay.
Rest is our job. It's our normal job. The market is always the most difficult. Markets depends on so many things.
Yesterday, ACMA, your supplier community, talked about their result. Their revenue was at 4.5 lakh crore, which is higher than the pre-pandemic in terms of rupee term. But ironically, if you look at in dollar terms, it is $56.5 billion, which is lesser than $57.1 billion, which was in the pre-pandemic. So, do you see this impact in terms of currency, falling rupee going forward? Is it just because of the falling currency, or what could be the reason? And how can we, have to de-risk this, currency impact that happens on overall business?
The currency, if you look at currency, and I think Bank Governor and other people have also explained it, it's versus dollar. But if you look against all other currencies, we have been quite well. Finally, competitiveness is how well you can manufacture. And I think the Indian auto component industry is getting more and more competitive every year. That definitely quality levels are rising phenomenally. They're able to sell all over the world. That is key. And I think there's, whatever the currency, they're going to do well.
Okay. I want to be fair to not talk about Toyota Kirloskar if I'm meeting you. Now, Toyota once exited the entry level segment which you had, ETOs and ETOs Leva.
Yes.
Now I see that the vehicles coming on Suzuki platforms, they are contributing close to 50% of your volume. So how do you see this change in market for Toyota now?
And we have a new vehicle, High Rider, which
today.
is also a mixed product. And as we go ahead, I think you will see we'll have more and more partnership with collaboration with Suzuki. We will make what we make best and what we are competitive at, and we'll work with Suzuki with what they make best and what they are competitive at, and share technologies on emission, on safety, on new powertrains and things as we go along.
When are you launching your hybrid that is going to come with this alliance?
This High Rider, first High Rider, Grand Vitara, and our High Rider is already showcase to the press. I think they're doing test runs today.
Today, yeah.
Today, many of the press people have opportunities to drive the High Rider. But definitely,
You have an EV also coming up. So.
Definitely the High Rider will come in before Dasara. I think we should start it.
Oh, about EV. When are you rolling out first EV?
Not yet.
Not today. You are not able to reveal today. Looking at overall market, a lot of people are talking about that market has moved up in terms of So going into, you had a strategy to go into big cars or premium, where you have Innova, Fortuner. They are your real breadwinners, if I may say.
Yes.
Again, now getting into this lower segment, does that not confuse you?
No, I think if you look at the High Rider, it's a segment, it's an SUV segment. It's some place where we as a company also need to make sure our emissions of our cars and the company starts coming down. We get into low CAFE ratings as well. So our CAFE numbers are also coming down. Our carbon content also comes down. I think in that strategy, you'll find we will, over the years, we will do more and more hybrids and eventually do more and more.
How do you see hybrid still tracks tax, so higher tax?
I hope people will start looking at carbon taxation rather than anything else.
So you still hold on to that hybrid will be the medium?
I think in India with the current power mix in our grid, I think hybrid, the science says there are enough papers which have come in Nature by Minister of Science. The latest paper in Nature magazine, which is a science magazine, is showing the situation of carbon on vehicles across the country, EV versus regular cars and hybrids. It still shows bulk of the country and bulk of the area where cars are sold. Hybrid has a lower carbon content. The only place where the EVs have a lower carbon content is in the markets where it's all hybrid.
Yeah. Just want to understand one final question. You have now products coming from alliance with Suzuki that will definitely help in filling up your capacity that remained idle for quite some time.
Yeah.
So do you think you will further need to expand, and are you looking
Let us
at
first
that?
fill this up.
Okay.
I want this full up,
Okay.
run full,
Okay.
and then
Move to the next
Yeah.
one. Thank you so much, Mr.
Thank you.
Kirloskar, for talking to me.
thank you. Thank you very much.